The bombardment begins. Life on Proxima Centauri 4 had always been peaceful. The mining colony stretched across the red-tinted plains like a silver web, its domes and towers glinting under the light of two suns. Children played in the artificial parks, workers extracted precious minerals from the planet's crust, and scientists studied the strange purple vegetation that grew near the equator. Commander Sarah Chen stood on the observation deck of the central tower, watching shuttles ferry materials between the surface and the orbital processing station. She had served 15 years in Earth's Colonial Defense Force before accepting this quiet posting. At 45, she thought her days of military action were behind her. She was wrong. The first sign of trouble came as a distortion in the sky, a ripple that shouldn't have been there. Sarah's years of training kicked in immediately. She slapped the emergency comm button. All stations, this is Commander Chen. We have unidentified atmospheric disturbance in Sector 7. Initiate Security Protocol Delta. The peaceful morning shattered as alarms began to wail across the colony. Sarah sprinted to the command center, her boots echoing on the metal floors. Inside, her team was already at their stations, screens flickering with data. "Commander, we're detecting multiple unknown vessels entering our space," reported Lieutenant Hassan, his dark eyes wide with concern. "They're not responding to any hails." "Put them on screen." The main display lit up, showing sleek black ships unlike anything in humanity's database. They moved with predatory grace, their hulls absorbing light rather than reflecting it. Sarah counted at least 20 vessels, each one large enough to be a capital ship. "Sir, they're powering up weapons." Hassan's voice cracked. Sarah didn't hesitate. "Sound general evacuation. Get everyone to the underground shelters. Now." The first bombs hit before half the colonists could reach safety. The ground shook violently as explosions tore through the residential sectors. Sarah watched in horror as entire buildings vaporized in brilliant flashes of energy. "Why?" she whispered, gripping the console. "We're a mining colony. We have no military value." Marcus Torres, the colony's civilian administrator, burst into the command center. His usually immaculate suit was covered in dust, his gray hair disheveled. "Sarah, what's happening? Who's attacking us?" "Unknown hostiles. They're not interested in talking." She turned to her communications officer. "Send a priority distress signal to Earth. Tell them we're under heavy bombardment." The bombing continued relentlessly. Each impact sent tremors through the ground, knocking people off their feet. The screams of the injured echoed through the colony's emergency channels. Sarah coordinated the evacuation efforts, directing survivors to the reinforced bunkers deep beneath the surface. These shelters had been designed to withstand meteor strikes, but she wasn't sure they could handle sustained alien weaponry. As the last groups made their way underground, a new message appeared on all screens. The alien commander's face filled the display, a being with pale blue skin, 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern, and no visible mouth. When it spoke, the voice came directly into their minds, cold and emotionless. "Humans of Earth Colony Proxima Centauri 4. You have encroached upon sacred Kevlar space. Your presence is an affront to our ancient territories. Surrender immediately or face complete annihilation." Sarah exchanged glances with Marcus. Neither had ever heard of the Kevlar. "This is Commander Sarah Chen of Earth Colonial Defense Force," she replied, trying to keep her voice steady. "We were not aware this territory was claimed. We're a peaceful mining operation. We can negotiate." "There will be no negotiation. You have 1 hour to surrender unconditionally." The transmission cut off. In the sudden silence, Sarah could hear the muffled explosions continuing above. She turned to her team. "Options. Our defense grid is completely outmatched," reported Hassan. "They've destroyed all surface installations. We're down to emergency power." Marcus slumped into a chair. "We can't fight them. We should surrender, save what lives we can." Sarah shook her head. "You don't understand. Species that attack without warning, without attempting diplomacy. They don't take prisoners. They're here to wipe us out. Then what do we do? She straightened, remembering her oath to protect humanity's colonies. We buy time. Earth will send help. Help. Marcus laughed bitterly. What help? The nearest fleet is weeks away. Not the fleet. Sarah's eyes gleamed with a secret knowledge. Something else. Something Earth has kept hidden for exactly this kind of situation. Deep in the heart of Earth's military command, alarms were blaring. Admiral Victoria Reeves stood in the war room, watching the distress signal from Proxima Centauri 4. Her weathered face showed no emotion, but her hands clenched behind her back. "The Kevlar," she muttered. "We always knew this day might come." "Admiral," called a young officer, "should we dispatch the Third Fleet?" No, they'd never make it in time. She turned to a sealed door at the back of the room. "Wake the giants." "Mom, are you sure? The Colossus program has never been." "I said wake them." Her voice cracked like a whip. "Every second we delay, more colonists die." The officer swallowed hard and entered a complex code into his terminal. Deep beneath the Swiss Alps, in a facility that didn't officially exist, massive chambers began to warm. Inside each chamber stood a figure that defied belief. Human in shape but standing 30 feet tall, encased in advanced biomechanical armor. These were the Colossi, humanity's ultimate deterrent, created through a combination of genetic engineering, cybernetic enhancement, and technologies borrowed from ancient alien artifacts. They represented the pinnacle of human military science. As power surged through their systems, the first giant opened his eyes. Captain James Morgan, call sign Thunder, had volunteered for the program 15 years ago. He had been a normal soldier once, before the transformation. Now he was something more, and something less than human. Thunder to command. His deep voice resonated through the comm system. "Colossus Unit 1, operational. What's the situation?" Admiral Reeves' face appeared on his internal display. "Captain Morgan, Proxima Centauri 4 is under attack by hostile aliens. The colony has less than an hour before total destruction. Your mission is to deploy immediately and neutralize the threat." Thunder flexed his massive hands, feeling the power coursing through his enhanced muscles. "Understood, Admiral. How many units are we deploying?" "All 12. This is not a drill, Captain. The survival of 20,000 colonists depends on you." As the other giants awakened around him, Thunder felt a grim satisfaction. For years, they had trained in secret, waiting for the moment when humanity would need them. That moment had arrived. "Colossi," he broadcast to his team, "prepare for rapid deployment. We have civilians to save and aliens to introduce to human determination." Back on Proxima Centauri 4, Sarah watched the countdown timer. 30 minutes until the Kevlar deadline. The bunker shook as another bomb struck nearby. "Commander," Hassan called out, "I'm detecting massive energy signatures in orbit. Not Kevlar. They're ours." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Right on time. Above the colony, space itself seemed to tear open as 12 massive drop pods emerged from hyperspace. Each pod was the size of a small building, bristling with weapons and propulsion systems. The Kevlar ships immediately turned their attention to the new arrivals, but they were unprepared for what happened next. The pods didn't slow down. They accelerated, smashing through the alien formation like bullets through glass. As they entered the atmosphere, the pods split open, revealing the giants within. Thunder led the descent, his armor glowing red-hot from atmospheric friction. He raised his massive rifle, a weapon that would have been considered artillery on a normal scale, and fired. The energy beam carved through a Kevlar bomber, splitting it in half. Around him, his fellow Colossi engaged the enemy with devastating effectiveness. On the ground, colonists emerging from damaged shelters gasped in awe as the giants landed. Each impact created craters in the ground, but the Colossi moved with surprising grace for their size. Thunder's voice boomed across all communication channels. "Attention Kevlar forces. This is Captain Morgan of Earth's Colossus unit. You have attacked human civilians without provocation. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences. The alien commander's response was a barrage of energy weapons. Thunder raised his arm, activating an energy shield that deflected the attacks. Then he charged. What followed was not a battle. It was a statement. The giants moved through the Kevlar ground forces like adults walking through a crowd of children. Their weapons eliminated threats with surgical precision, while their shields protected fleeing civilians. Sarah watched from the command center, hardly believing what she was seeing. They're beautiful, she whispered. Marcus stood beside her, mouth agape. I didn't know we had anything like this. Neither did the Kevlar, Sarah replied with satisfaction. And now they're learning why you don't attack humanity without consequence. As the giants secured the colony, Thunder confronted the alien commander's ship. He leaped impossibly high, grabbing the vessel's hull and tearing it open with his bare hands. The commander's psychic scream echoed across the battlefield as Thunder reached inside. You threatened our children. Thunder's voice was calm, but filled with cold fury. That was your first mistake. Your second was assuming we couldn't protect them. With a final surge of strength, he crushed the ship's power core. The explosion lit up the sky, signaling the end of the Kevlar attack. As the remaining alien ships flowed into hyperspace, Thunder landed softly near the command center. He knelt down, bringing his face level with the observation window where Sarah stood. Commander Chen, his voice was surprisingly gentle for someone so large. The colony is secure. Evacuation ships are en route. Sarah saluted, tears in her eyes. Thank you, Captain. You've saved us all. Thunder stood, surveying the damage. This is just the beginning, Commander. The galaxy needs to learn that humanity protects its own. As medical teams rushed to help the wounded and repair crews began assessing the damage, Sarah realized that everything had changed. The secret of the Colossus program was out. Humanity had shown its hand and its strength. The giants had awakened, and the galaxy would never be the same. Titans rise. 3 days before the attack on Proxima Centauri 4, Dr. Elena Kovic stood in her laboratory deep beneath the Swiss Alps, reviewing 15 years of work. The Colossus program had been her life's dedication, a fusion of biology, technology, and something that bordered on magic. They called me mad, she muttered, adjusting her glasses as she studied the vital signs of Subject 7. Said it was impossible to create stable giants. Her assistant, Dr. Yuki Tanaka, looked up from her terminal. To be fair, Elena, you did propose turning humans into 30-foot-tall super soldiers. That's not exactly conventional science. Elena smiled. Nothing great ever is. She walked to the observation window, gazing at the massive forms suspended in biogel. But look at them, Yuki. Perfect fusion of organic and synthetic systems, enhanced strength, accelerated healing, integrated weapon systems, and the volunteers. Yuki asked softly, do you ever wonder if we asked too much of them? Elena's expression darkened. They knew the risks. Each one chose this path to protect humanity. She touched the glass. When the time comes, they'll be ready. Neither scientist knew how soon that time would arrive. Back in the present, Thunder stood amid the ruins of Proxima Centauri 4's main plaza. His fellow Colossi had spread out across the colony, securing evacuation routes and treating the wounded with surprising gentleness. Lieutenant Maya Tempest Rodriguez, the newest member of the unit, carefully lifted a collapsed building segment to free trapped survivors. Despite her massive size, her movements were precise and controlled. Easy now, she murmured, her voice a soothing rumble, as she extracted a family from the rubble. I've got you. A small girl, no more than 6, stared up at Tempest with wide eyes. Are you an angel? She asked. Tempest's laugh was warm. No, little one. Just a very big soldier here to help. Nearby, veteran Colossus Marcus Mountain Webb coordinated with local emergency services. His tactical display showed the full extent of the damage. 30% of the colony destroyed, over 1,000 casualties, but far fewer than there might have been without their intervention. Thunder, Mountain called over their private channel. "We've got incoming. Looks like Kethler reinforcements." Thunder turned his attention skyward. Sure enough, a second wave of alien ships was dropping out of hyperspace. These were larger, more heavily armed, warships rather than the raiders from the first attack. "All units, prepare for round 2, Thunder commanded. "They're bringing the big guns this time." In the command center, Sarah and her team worked frantically to restore defensive systems. "We've got partial shields back online," Hassan reported. "But they won't hold against those capital ships." "They don't have to," Sarah replied. "They just need to protect the civilians until the evacuation is complete." Outside, the Colossi formed a defensive line. Thunder activated his armor's advanced targeting systems, analyzing the approaching fleet. 12 giants against an armada. The odds were not in their favor, but odds had never concerned the Colossus program. "Formation Delta," Thunder ordered. "Tempest, Rodriguez, take the flanks. Mountain, you're with me on point. Everyone else, staggered support positions." As the Kethler ships entered firing range, Thunder raised his weapon, not the rifle he'd used earlier, but something far more powerful. The Prometheus cannon was an experimental weapon that drew power directly from his armor's fusion core. "Let's show them what happens when you wake the giants," he growled. The cannon's beam lanced into space, striking the lead Kethlar warship. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the ship's shields flared and collapsed, followed by a series of internal explosions that tore it apart. The other Colossi opened fire with their own heavy weapons. Energy beams, plasma bolts, and kinetic projectiles filled the sky. The Kethlar returned fire, but their weapons were designed for ship-to-ship combat, not for targeting individual warriors. Tempest proved particularly effective, using her specialty, electromagnetic manipulation, to redirect enemy fire. Missiles curved away from their targets, energy beams bent around evacuation shuttles, and electronic systems frittered out in her presence. "That's my girl," Thunder approved as she caused 2 Kethler fighters to collide. The battle raged for hours. The giants took hits that would have vaporized normal soldiers, their advanced armor absorbing and dispersing the energy. When Mountain took a direct hit from a plasma torpedo, he was knocked down but not out, rising with a roar of defiance. Inside the shelters, colonists watched in awe through external cameras. Children pressed their faces against view screens, cheering each time a giant destroyed an enemy ship. "They're like gods," Marcus whispered. Sarah shook her head. "No, they're human. That's what makes this so powerful." As the battle continued, it became clear that the Kethlar had underestimated their opponents. Their tactics, designed for conventional warfare, were useless against the Colossi's combination of size, firepower, and maneuverability. Thunder noticed their confusion and pressed the advantage. "All units, execute Thunderstrike protocol." The giants suddenly changed formation, leaping into the air with assistance from their armor's propulsion systems. They landed on the larger Kethlar ships, using their massive strength to tear through hulls and disable weapon systems. Tempest found herself face-to-face with a Kethlar warrior in powered armor, impressive by normal standards but tiny compared to her 30-foot frame. The alien fired its weapons point-blank, but Tempest's shields held. "Nice try," she said, before flicking the warrior away like an insect. On the flagship, Thunder battled his way to the bridge. Kethlar soldiers threw everything they had at him, but he was unstoppable. When he finally reached the command deck, he found himself facing not just the ship's captain, but what appeared to be a high-ranking military leader. "I am War Master Kethros," the alien declared through its translator. "You may have won this battle, but the Kethlar Empire will." Thunder didn't let him finish. He grabbed the War Master, armor and all, and held him up to eye level. "Listen carefully," Thunder said, his voice resonating through the ship. "This colony is under Earth's protection. Any further attacks will be considered a declaration of war against all of humanity. And trust me, you don't want to see what happens when we stop holding back." He gestured to the view screen, which showed the destruction of the Kethlar fleet. "We are 12. Earth has hundreds more like us, and we're just the first generation. Think about that before you threaten our colonies again." With deliberate care, Thunder set the War Master down. "Now call off your forces and leave this system. Don't make me ask twice." The War Master, clearly shaken, gave the order. The remaining Kethlar ships began to withdraw, collecting their surviving fighters as they retreated. As Thunder emerged from the flagship, he was met with cheers from his fellow Colossi. They had done it, driven off a force many times their size, and saved the colony. But the victory came at a cost. Several giants bore damage to their armor, and Mountain was limping from his earlier hit. They would need repairs and rest before their next deployment. In the command center, Sarah received a transmission from Earth. Admiral Reeves appeared on screen, her expression a mix of relief and concern. "Commander Chen, excellent work coordinating with the Colossus unit. The evacuation fleet will arrive within 6 hours." "Thank you, Admiral. But what happens now?" "The Kethlar know about the giants." Reeves nodded grimly. "The secret is out. We're entering a new phase of human expansion. The galaxy needs to understand that we're not just settlers and miners. We can defend ourselves." Outside, Thunder gathered his team. "Well done, all of you. But this is just the beginning. The Kethlar will spread word of what happened here. Other species will test us." "Let them come," Mountain growled, testing his damaged leg. "We'll be ready." Tempest was watching the departing alien ships. "Do you think they'll really stay away?" "For now," Thunder replied. "But we've shown our hand. The giants are no longer a secret weapon. We're Earth's visible deterrent." As the sun set over the damaged colony, casting long shadows across the battlefield, the Colossi stood guard. They were more than soldiers now. They were symbols of humanity's determination to survive and thrive among the stars. The evacuation proceeded smoothly under their protection. Families boarded shuttles, many pausing to thank the giants who had saved them. Children waved, adults saluted, and more than a few tears were shed. Sarah found Thunder near the landing pad as the last shuttle prepared to depart. "Captain, I wanted to thank you personally. Without the Colossi, we would have lost everything." Thunder knelt to bring himself closer to her level. "We're glad we could help, Commander. But remember, it wasn't just us. You held the line until we arrived. You kept people alive. That's what matters." As Sarah boarded her shuttle, she looked back at the giants standing amid the ruins. They had arrived as secret weapons but would leave as legends. The story of the Colossi defeating the Kethlar would spread across human space and beyond. The giants had risen, and nothing would ever be the same. Humanity strikes back. As news of the Proxima Centauri 4 battle spread across human space, reactions varied from jubilation to fear. On Earth, crowds gathered in cities to celebrate the victory, while military strategists worked around the clock to prepare for the inevitable response. In the Colossus program facility, Dr. Kovic monitored her giants' biometrics as they underwent repairs and recovery. Thunder sat in a massive medical bay, technicians swarming over his armor like ants on a fallen tree. "Structural integrity at 87%, reported Chief Engineer Williams. "We can get you back to full capacity in 48 hours. Thunder nodded. "Make it 24. Something tells me we won't have the luxury of time." His instincts proved correct. Deep space monitoring stations detected a massive Kethlar fleet assembling near the border of human territory. This wasn't a raiding party, it was an invasion force. Admiral Reeves called an emergency meeting of Earth's military leadership. "The Kethlar are mobilizing everything they have. Intelligence suggests they view the Colossi as an existential threat to their expansion plans." General Chen, Sarah's uncle and head of colonial defense, leaned forward. How long do we have? 3 days, maybe 4. They're heading for Earth itself. A heavy silence fell over the room. Earth hadn't faced a direct attack in over a century. Can the Colossi handle a force this size? Someone asked. Reeves turned to Dr. Kovac, who had joined via hologram. Elena. The scientist adjusted her glasses. The giants are powerful, but they're not invincible. Against a fleet this size, she paused. We need to change the paradigm. Meaning? The Colossi were designed as a defensive force, a deterrent, but they're capable of much more. It's time for Project Titan. Thunder received his new orders while still in the repair bay. As he read them, his enhanced mind processed the implications. Project Titan, the offensive protocol they'd trained for but never thought they'd use. You understand what this means? Dr. Kovac asked, appearing on his internal display. We take the fight to them, Thunder replied. No more waiting for attacks. We hit them first, hit them hard. The modifications will be intense. Your armor will be upgraded with experimental weapons, enhanced propulsion, and deep space capabilities. But the strain on your systems will be worth it if we end this war before it truly begins. Thunder's voice was firm. Do it. Over the next 36 hours, the Colossi underwent rapid upgrades. New weapon systems were integrated. Armor was reinforced with experimental alloys, and their power cores were enhanced to unprecedented levels. Tempest received specialized electromagnetic weaponry that could disable entire ships. Mountain's armor was fitted with siege cannons capable of cracking planetary defenses. Thunder himself was equipped with the Godslayer, a weapon so powerful it was powered by a miniature black hole. As the upgrades finished, the giants assembled in the launch bay. They looked different now, sleeker, deadlier, radiating power that made the air itself vibrate. Colossi. Admiral Reeves addressed them. You are about to undertake the most important mission in human history. The Kethlar fleet outnumbers you 1,000 to 1. By all conventional military logic, this is suicide. Thunder stepped forward. With respect, Admiral, we stopped being conventional the day we became giants. Reeves smiled grimly. Then go. Show them why they should have left humanity alone. The launch was spectacular. 12 giants, each now equipped with advanced spaceflight capabilities, rose from Earth like ascending gods. They broke atmosphere in seconds, accelerating to speeds that would have torn apart normal spacecraft. Their target was the Kethlar staging ground, a massive space station serving as the invasion fleet's command center. If they could destroy it, the attack would fall apart. As they approached the enemy fleet, Thunder broadcast on all frequencies. Kethlar forces, this is your only warning. Abandon your invasion plans and return to your space, or face the full might of humanity's guardians. The response was a wall of weapons fire that lit up space like a second sun. Guess they chose the hard way, Mountain commented. Shall we? Thunder raised the Godslayer. Colossi, engage. What followed was a battle that would be studied for generations. The giants carved through the Kethlar fleet like meteors through atmosphere. Tempest created electromagnetic storms that disabled dozens of ships at once. Mountain's siege cannons punched holes through capital ships. Thunder wielded the Godslayer with terrible precision, each shot erasing enemy vessels from existence. But the Kethlar adapted quickly. They focused their fire, trying to overwhelm individual giants. Several Colossi took heavy damage, their upgraded armor pushed to its limits. Thunder, I'm hit. Rodriguez called out as a barrage struck her propulsion systems. Hold on. Tempest maneuvered to cover her teammate, using her electromagnetic fields to deflect incoming fire. Thunder saw their strategy needed to change. New plan. Form up on me. We're going straight for the station. The giants regrouped, forming a spearhead formation with Thunder at the point. Together, they punched through the Kethlar lines, their combined firepower creating a corridor of destruction. The space station loomed ahead, a massive structure bristling with weapons. Thunder could see the fear beginning to spread through the enemy ranks. They had never faced anything like the Colossi before. As they approached the station, its defenses opened up with everything they had. The giant shields flared under the assault, but they pressed forward. "Mountain, crack it open," Thunder ordered. Mountain fired his siege cannons, the shots impacting the station's shields with tremendous force. On the third shot, the shields collapsed. "Tempest, take down their power grid." Tempest unleashed her full electromagnetic arsenal. Lightning-like energy coursed over the station's surface, systems failing in cascading sequence. With the defenses down, Thunder prepared the Godslayer for its ultimate purpose. The weapon hummed with power, drawing energy from the captive singularity at its core. "All units, clear the blast radius," he commanded. As his fellow giants retreated, Thunder fired. The beam that emerged was unlike anything seen in warfare, a lance of pure gravitational force that struck the station's core. For a moment, nothing happened. Then reality itself seemed to warp around the impact point. The station imploded, crushed by its own mass, before exploding outward in a display that outshone the local star. The shockwave rippled through the Kethler fleet, destroying nearby ships and damaging many others. In the chaos that followed, the invasion force began to retreat. But Thunder wasn't finished. Broadcast this message to all Kethler forces and any other species monitoring this battle. "This is what happens when you threaten humanity. We have shown restraint, but our patience has limits. Leave human space and never return or face extinction." As the message propagated through subspace, the remaining Kethler ships fled. The invasion was over before it began. The journey back to Earth was triumphant but sobering. Several giants bore severe damage, and all were exhausted from the intense combat. But they had accomplished the impossible, a dozen warriors defeating an armada. Earth welcomed them as heroes. Crowds cheered as the giants descended through the atmosphere, their armor still bearing the scars of battle. But Thunder knew this was just the beginning. In the weeks that followed, humanity's position in the galaxy changed dramatically. Species that had dismissed humans as weak settlers now treated them with respect and fear. The Colossi became not just defenders but ambassadors, their very existence a reminder of humanity's capabilities. Thunder stood on the observation deck of the rebuilt Proxima Centauri 4, watching children play in the restored parks. Sarah Chen stood beside him, promoted to sector commander after her actions during the invasion. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked. "Becoming this?" Thunder considered the question. "I gave up being normal to become something necessary. When I see those children playing without fear, knowing they're safe, no, I don't regret it." What happens now? Now we rebuild. We expand. We show the galaxy that humans can be peaceful neighbors, but terrible enemies. He looked up at the stars. "And we stay ready. Because somewhere out there, someone else is wondering if they can take what's ours." Sarah nodded. "The giants are awake now." "Yes," Thunder agreed. "And we're not going back to sleep." As the twin suns set over the colony, casting long shadows across the rebuilt structures, Thunder felt a sense of completion. They had faced the darkness and emerged victorious. Humanity had taken its place among the stars not through conquest, but through the strength to defend what mattered. The age of the giants had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. In the distance, children played a new game, pretending to be Colossi defending their homes. Thunder smiled behind his helmet. Perhaps that was the greatest victory of all, showing the next generation that humans could stand tall, no matter what challenges the universe might bring. The giants had risen, and humanity's place among the stars was secure.